Welcome to the Titan Tar channel. Today we have a topic to discuss about Ukraine planning an attack on Kursk over a year ago and Russia reacting with full force. Don't miss the chance to join us and share your opinions with us. Become a member of our channel and evolve your rank. The Ukrainian army has been preparing for more than a year for an attack on the Kursk region, an operation that Kyiv has been considering as a way to weaken the Russian military in other sectors of the front. An American television channel reported this information, citing an unnamed advisor to the Ukrainian government. According to the advisor, the Ukrainian armed forces are facing defeats on several fronts simultaneously, while the Russians are steadily advancing, taking control of one settlement after another. The situation is particularly critical in Donbass, where Ukrainian defenses are being severely damaged by Russian troops, which has caused great concern among the Ukrainian military and political leadership. Given this situation, it was decided that it would be necessary to divert Russian forces to protect the country's border territories. The American media described the offensive of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region as impressive. However, the question is how long the Ukrainian army will be able to maintain this offensive and, most importantly, whether it will be able to hold on to Russian territory. An advisor to the head of the Kyiv regime, speaking to journalists, stressed that Ukraine is trying to expand its presence in the Kursk region, but does not intend to permanently occupy the conquered territories, calling this occupation temporary. Earlier, the deputy head of the main military political directorate of the Russian armed forces reported that Ukrainian forces, which cross the border in the Kursk region, are attacking Russian defenses almost continuously. The Russian Defense Ministry announced that it managed to repel attacks by the Ukrainian armed forces in several areas of the Sudzansky district and the settlement of Korenevo in the Korenevsky district of the Kursk region. The Russian positions were attacked by assault groups of 3 Ukrainian brigades, which lost 1 tank and 11 armored vehicles. It is also reported that units of the Northern Group of Forces, supported by aviation and artillery, are identifying and destroying Ukrainian mobile groups that are using forest areas to advance towards settlements in the Korenevsky district of the Kursk region. Since the beginning of the Ukrainian invasion of the region, the Russian Defense Ministry estimates that the Ukrainians have lost more than 3,100 servicemen, more than 40 tanks, and various other equipment. At a meeting with the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army, the president of Ukraine discussed the situation in the Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces continue to attempt to break through Russian defenses. Zelensky stated that he was informed about the strengthening of Ukrainian positions in the region and the expansion of territory under Ukrainian control. However, by stating that the Ukrainian armed forces have full control of the Pokrovsky and Turetsky directions, the commander-in-chief may have distorted reality, since Russian troops are only 10 kilometers from Pokrovsk and are already engaged in urban battles in Toretsk. In addition, Zelensky discussed with the commander-in-chief the additional supply of Western weapons to Ukrainian forces, stating that they were working on new support packages from international partners, with the main goal of limiting Russia's offensive potential and expanding the scope of Ukrainian operations. This discussion may be related to seeking permission from Western countries to conduct deep strikes into Russian territory, something that has so far not been officially permitted by any NATO country. The invasion of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region has generated new developments, including almost conspiratorial speculation. An American newspaper reported that the attack on the Russian region would have disrupted talks already scheduled between Moscow and Kyiv on a possible partial ceasefire. These negotiations, which had Qatar as a mediator, had been in preparation for more than 2 months and aimed at reaching an agreement to cease attacks on energy installations. However, after the invasion of the Kursk region, Russian authorities postponed the meeting, classifying the offensive as an escalation, and Qatar decided to suspend negotiations due to the absence of the Russian delegation. A Russian diplomatic source told the American newspaper that after the offensive in Kursk, President Putin would not be willing to negotiate, stressing that the Russian leadership usually does not give in under pressure. Ukrainian sources consider it unlikely that the Qatar agreements would have been implemented even without the Kursk strike. In response to a newspaper query, Zelensky's office said the Qatar summit had been postponed due to the situation in the Middle East, without mentioning the impact of the strike. The former British Prime Minister, in turn, enthusiastically celebrated the invasion of the Kursk region by the Ukrainian armed forces. A British publication highlighted the enthusiasm of the former leader, who declared that the Ukrainian counterattack represented some of the best news in a long time for those who support Ukraine's freedom. He also added that the involvement of British intelligence services in the preparation of this attack is something that reinforces his optimism. The former prime minister believes that the events in Kursk could be decisive in ending the war, obviously with the Ukrainian victory. He argues that the Kursk offensive shows that the West has underestimated the capabilities of Ukrainians and has called on Western countries to allow the use of weapons transferred to Kyiv in strikes deep into Russian territory. Meanwhile, a former U.S. Marine Corps officer has commented on the possible consequences of a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. He warned that in the event of war, Moscow's first target would be American satellites, which are vital to U.S. military operations. He explained that the vulnerability of these satellites represents an Achilles heel for the West, and that their destruction could seriously compromise the United States' defense capabilities. While these discussions are taking place, Ukrainian units that invaded the Kursk region continue to attempt to break through the Russian defenses relentlessly. According to a Russian Special Forces commander, the attempts to break through are resulting in heavy losses for the Ukrainian armed forces, which were not prepared for the resistance they encountered in the region. In parallel with direct fighting, Russian troops are conducting operations to encircle Ukrainian forces in certain areas of the Sumy and Kursk regions using remotely deployed mine systems. These mines isolate enemy groups, creating a technical barrier that prevents them from moving freely. In several cases, Ukrainian troops, unaware of the presence of these mines, suffered significant casualties while trying to return to their original positions after attacks. In response, Ukrainian forces have saturated the border areas with personnel and weapons, using a strategy that appears to disregard preserving combat capability for future operations. Additionally, they are destroying bridges in the region, with the aim of isolating Russian units closer to the border from their supplies and operational support. These tactics have turned the campaign in the Kursk region into a protracted tactical battle, where Russia awaits a decisive response. However, it seems that even the Ukrainian armed forces themselves have begun to lose confidence in the viability of the Ukrainian command's plans for the region, with initial enthusiasm having dissipated in recent days. Despite this, the Western press continues to cover the Kursk region invasion with great intensity, reflecting a wide range of opinions. British experts have renewed their calls for more weapons to be delivered to Kyiv and for deep strikes to be allowed into Russia, while an American publication has expressed concerns about the possible consequences of such an escalation. According to the article, some of Ukraine's allies, both publicly and privately, consider this offensive to be a clear escalation that could divert significant forces from the front in Donbass, which could create discord among Kyiv's partners. In addition, some partners believe that Russia is preparing a devastating response, leaving both Kyiv and the West with a difficult choice: continue the operation or enter into peace negotiations. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. Your interactions mean a lot to us and help us grow. See you next time.